Well, I am very excited for this next edition of Voice of the Shy because we're talking about rebuilding Black Wall Street, but we need to own what we're rebuilding, right? We need to own the real estate, own the buildings, and be the buyers and not the renters, right? So, with this next guest that we have, Alonzo Abram, he actually is an investment. Um, I'm sorry, I didn't get your title right. That was good too. I'm just gonna re-record it. What's your
Okay.
title?
Um, you could say investment consultant. See, and that's kind of tricky because I don't want to say realtor. So you could say real estate consultant and investor. There we go.
There we go.
Real estate consultant and investor. There we go.
Because I did. That was one of the questions that I had about how you want to position yourself as far as being a realtor. Because of course, you still want people to give you their listings.
Absolutely. And I'll speak a little briefly about it so they know how we operate.
Okay. Okay. Back on it.
Yep.
Take two. Well, I am super excited about this episode of Voice of the Shy because we talk about rebuilding Black Wall Street, but we need to own the buildings. Everything that we're doing, we need to own it. So real estate is a huge part of that. We want to make sure that we are the buyer and not just the renters, or that we're leasing it to other people, right? So my guest today is Alonzo Abram of Aprogeny Global. He is a global soon to be global real estate investor and consultant. I've been working with him for a couple of years now, and I've really seen his passion for investment and passion for creating wealth for the community. So today we're going to talk about what it really takes to invest, how to jumpstart it, and just how to be a more successful entrepreneur in the investment world, in the real estate world. There's a lot of opportunities that are going to be coming up. So we're going to talk about what the real estate market will look like for 2021 and beyond. So without further ado, I will bring on my guest, Mr. Alonzo Abram.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Always, Alonzo. We could talk for hours, but
Absolutely, absolutely.
so I gave you a quick intro about being a real estate investor and consultant, but I want people to really understand what it is that you do and also how you got started in real estate.
Okay. I guess I'll start with how I got started because it'll tell the story of what we do, right? So 10 years ago, I obtained my real estate broker license, and I went immediately to get my manager broker license. And anyone who knows me, they know that I really never liked being a realtor. Even some close friends, families for years, I coach them and I show them and I always send them to another realtor, right? Because what I was trying to figure out is how to get into real estate, right? I quickly realized that I love investing. So it was maybe 9 years ago, almost 10, around the same time. So pretty much immediately after I got my real estate broker license, I got into buying properties, rental properties, and we all know that was right after the crash. So you saying we was having properties that was so cheap? I wish they was like that right now, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and at that time, right? At that time, I was an individual that was telling people who had money, buy this, right? And I wasn't around a spirit influence that was actually into the industry, so they weren't pretty much listening, right? And they understanding. So I decided, me and my wife, we decided to say, okay, we're gonna do it ourselves. So we purchased our first house in Harvey. It was for $11,500, and then I
Wow.
ended up putting we end up putting like almost 12, 13,000 into the thing, right? And we still have it to this day, written, right?
So it's a
Uh,
rental property.
it's a rental property, right?
Okay.
So we decided to just continue doing that, right? So we use the money we're getting from the brokerage, from being a agent, and continue buying those rental properties, and then we end up start selling those rental properties. So then we quickly understood how it goes. Every property that we had, we end up being a general contractor on for our own property, even though I'm not a general contractor and I don't work in that capacity, right? And I'm saying that because for years, I always had individuals ask me to be their general contractor, but that is not what we do, right? And it took a while to realize what do I do, right? So as on the journey of buying, fixing them, renting them, and selling them, I quickly, I think it was 2015, I joined the CCIM, and I started understanding the difference from residential and commercial.
Okay. Can you
And
say that you joined what?
CCIM. Well, CCIM is an organization for real estate professionals who practice commercial real estate in many different capacities,
Gotcha.
right? Yeah, so the learning platform is amazing, right? And it taught me a lot. So while I was in this residential, trying to figure out okay how to grow, In commercial, it's night and day. The rules are night and day. The laws are night and day. The money is night and day. So I immediately suck in a lot of information and a lot of knowledge from that, and I adjusted my investment strategy. Me personally, at the moment, I like multifamily for said reasons. As far as with me, it's more of a you could buy 10 houses and you could buy them all through the city, through the suburbs, or you could buy one building. And so when you scale up, price your expenses scale down. So once I realized that, even at this moment, we're adjusting. Me and my wife, we're adjusting our portfolio to go more into multifamily, more as an investor. So me getting into that, A Project Global was always a dream, right? We've been planning this for 7 years. We've been planning it, working on it for 7 years. The global part of it was always because we wanted to do business in Africa. And then so happened we didn't know how we was gonna obtain that dream, right? But over the last few years, we was blessed to meet certain individuals and certain organizations, and one in particular, Kiana, actually you on the board of the organization also now, which is wonderful, right? It's going
Yes.
to help that dream become more of a reality. And this organization is the African Chamber of Commerce of Chicago, and the founder, his name is Olivier Kamanzi, and he created Rwanda stock market, right? So, and it was funny
Powerful, powerful.
powerful, extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And it was funny how I came across it because of my corporate attorney, which name is Amber John. All right. And I heard her and her partner on WBON one day when I decided to take A Project Global as far as physically, documentation wise, seriously, right? And I called and I was like, I want you guys to be my corporate lawyer, right? And it's helped me file my art of corporation and yada, yada, yada. And we quickly became real good friends and business associates. And she one day she asked about going to Africa. And it was like, she said, you always want to go to Africa, right? And I'm like, yes, I do. I did. And then she was like, well, we have an event going on in Cape Town. And I talked to my wife. Wife said, go ahead, make it happen,
Wow.
right? So when we get out there, I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of individuals. We actually threw a nice little get together afterwards, a networking event afterwards that was very successful. And when I got back, that's when she introduced me to Olivier, and his Africa thing became more of a reality, right? Because she's actually the vice president of the chamber. So now, from that point of view, okay, now it's time for A Project Global to institutionalize, right? So what we just had to do from then is we put our work in phases. So we just had a Project Global to phase one, which again is a physical location, right? And then
Yeah.
the phase, so you got to work. I'm a very strong believer in systems. So we had to create the systems. It's like, how do you attract anybody, whether you come to work with A Project Global inside or be an affiliate, right? How do I get Kiana to take Lonzo serious, right? If you come just with a dream and then 2, 3 years later you got that same dream and then move, it's like, okay, Kiana's a moving the shaker now, So how do
All
you?
day long, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did was focus on the systems. We had to have a location. We call it our starter systems, which all the tools that we need, and that list can go on and on. And then we go on to building the team, right? From the beginning of A Project Global, and I would say, yes, it was like, okay, I got to bring up my wife, right? In this part because she was instrumental when it comes to us getting to this level when it comes to fix and flipping, right? Every property that we had that we general contracted, she was always the one who interior designed everything. And if anyone have seen the property we have done, they know exactly what I mean, right? And she has the natural talents to make these houses beautified, right? So she handles all of the design for even the office. The office is nice. She handled all the design for all of our properties, right? So with that dream, it's always been her dream to scale up. So my thing is, we have friends and other associates that always say, "Lonzo, why haven't you scaled up when it comes to fix and flipping within this last year and a half, 2 years?" Because what I did was we paused. We paused all purchasing of rentals. We paused all fix and flipping just to get a system in order because it was a difference. And I keep bringing up this system, and it's not. I'm hoping I'm off track a little bit, but I got to talk about the systems because that's what matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like what we were doing. We were moving individually as individual investors. Was being a contractor, being a realtor, we being everything, but we're doing it ourselves. It was me and my wife, right? It was not a business per se as far as how a business supposed to operate. So we chose to pause and get all that stuff in order, right? And then the corona is It's horrible, and it has gifts and it has curses, right? And but his gifts was it allowed us to even more situate and strategize and get things in order, so we can be ready for whatever next to come, right?
Yeah.
So now, well, like get back to the who what do we do? So Aprogeny Global at this moment, we are real estate consultants. We do not like to say real estate brokers, right? And there's nothing about real estate brokers, right? Real estate agents, but a consultant to us is more. Um, I would say more is we are the ones that have not only the resources, right, the knowledge of how to value a piece of property, but also we are hands on when it comes to fixing these properties or pulling resources together to purchase these properties, things of that nature. So it's a little bit different.
A little bit
From my,
different. So
from
who
my
do you work with? Do you work with people who at the beginning stages, first property,
yeah.
they trying to rent or flip?
Okay, so and this is what so we have a consultant that's on the team by the name of Whitney Hampton, right?
Yes. Shout out to Whitney
Amazing.
Hampton. I mean, amazing.
Amazing. Her energy, her energy. If anyone, I don't know if anyone doesn't like Whitney, I don't know why, right? Because her energy just glows like that, And then her determination to be resourceful and knowledgeable and continue education and her field and her niche is shown. And it's just so she's amazing. But we had the opportunity to start working together. Um, I think it was for the end of the year last year, and we knew each other for a few years before that and worked on other projects outside the real estate, right? So we already had a working relationship. But when she actually left her organization, EXP, and came over, Whitney focused on um, first time home buyers. Right? So she acts in the capacity and she acts in their capacities for your traditional home buyers and your traditional home sellers. And then she also acts in the capacity of those who want to buy your 1 to 4 units and things of that nature. And she also is going into the capacity of an investor, right? So, and I bring that up because within the organization, there's other team members that was part of us, but we all know our roles, right?
Yeah.
We all have our certain niche. So, if you're a first time home buyer looking to buy or sell a house, Whitney Investments, her team right now is she have a team of 3 and growing, right? They're focused strictly on those who first time home buyers looking to buy or sell residential property, right? Now you have other people that's part of the organization, people like myself, who I focus on multifamily investment, right? So you're looking to purchase a multifamily investment, and when I say multifamily, people say 1 to 4 units, but when I say multifamily, I'm talking about the 5 and above, right? Because the different rules and everything, but from the 5 unit above to the 4 units to 1, right? And we still and in the capacity of investing. We do work with, to answer your question, we do work with first time investors, right? So if you're a first time investor, you want to know uh, the road to how to get to your end game. We definitely will help you make it from A to Z. We'll help you write up your plan from A to Z. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do your audit, right? Your financial audit, your goal audit.
Are
So
you ready?
yeah, are you ready? So we're going to see what you look like.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask. But one, I want to just piggyback off what you said. I love the fact that you said you took the time to focus on the structure, because I think as entrepreneurs, oftentimes we just so busy trying to grow that we don't build a system in place, like you said. So it's not just you and your wife. How do you build that capacity? How are you able to help 50, investors at one time? You have to have a system in place. So I think that's just a very good point that people need to understand. No matter if you're in real estate or another business, that it definitely takes time to build that structure. You have to, if you really want to be this in the long run, you got to take the time and sometimes pause and miss out on a couple opportunities.
Absolutely.
Get the foundation straight. But I want to talk a little bit about investment. So for the people who are watching and thinking, are they ready to invest? So you mentioned you started with rental, and then you pivoted to actually selling. So can you break down just the different types of ways that you can invest? Like maybe what are some of the advantages of having a rental unit versus just buying and flipping?
Okay. So now I'm gonna say start approach the rental units first, and then I'm gonna approach it. And I'm gonna break it down from the residential as far as the single family home, and then I'll go to the multifamily, whether it's 2 unit or above, right? That your single family home when it comes to it, and you say how to start in it. The first thing is first is what is your resources? How much of a home can you buy?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever can you buy in, you have to be realistic with yourself and your resources. Because I had met many individuals who came and they wanted to buy in the Bronzeville, and they couldn't buy Harvey. You know, so and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I still have property in Harvey. You know,
Absolutely.
and I'm
It's a
hoping that
different
that
budget.
area have a lot of potential. But we realistically we know the difference from a Harvey and a Bronzeville, right? So if first we got to figure that out. Then
Mm-hmm.
it could now can you back cash and do you need a loan, right? And then if you need a loan, that comes with how much of a loan can you afford,
Yeah.
right? And then what kind of rental are you attempting to buy? Are you attempting to buy a rental that's already together, or are you attempting to buy one that's on foreclosure and you're going to fix it up? Because now if you're going to buy a rental that's fixed that you got to put together, now again, are you buying that cash? Or are you getting a loan? Because now, if you're fixing that up, there's certain lenders that's not going to give you that property. So you have to go a whole different route to buy the house to fix it and to rent it. Because and then we're going to speak about hard money, and which is hard money is not your traditional financing. It's not your bank, right? It's other organizations or individuals who give you money to buy these properties with a little higher interest rate,
Mm-hmm.
and they judge what they're going to do, how much they're going to charge you off your experience, right? How many deals you have on credit and things of that nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, most of those institutions, they're give you hard money to buy and fix those properties, right? And then we could talk about strategies. I know some people use. They bought them properties, and they couldn't sell those properties, and they refi them to your traditional lender to rentals, right? So it's all about you and where you at and what you can do, so you figure out how you can buy,
Yeah.
right, and
That's
where you can
why
buy.
I think when you talked about it early on, you got to find the right mentors. You got to work with companies like yourself to make sure that you're doing it the right way. I think sometimes people try to jump off on their own to keep all the money, but you make more money in the long run because you avoid some of the mistakes and errors. Like you
Absolutely.
said, you might get a property that you can't because you have to remodel it. It's a certain type of loan that you need for that, and you may be thinking
Absolutely.
go the traditional route, and then now all of a sudden you're stuck with this property. So
Right.
I know a lot of people see real estate as sexy and a way to make fast money. I know I'm getting into it. I'm excited. um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it definitely is something that you have to be ready for and you got to do your research on.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so like you mentioned COVID, of course, the impact. I've seen, it seems like realtors and people are popping up everywhere, selling homes and doing everything. So what do you
Mhm.
think about the current real estate market? You think it's an opportunity to buy right now? Or I know that's the question
Okay.
everybody asks.
And so like everybody got their own personal professional opinions, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so mine might be different from the next guy, right? So to me, at the moment, depends on where you're looking from, right? So investor point of view, me, any project that I have to go get, that I go for at the moment, they have to have extra cushion in it,
Hmm.
right? Because first of all, to me, the market is overinflated because everything that's going on politically with this, even with COVID, which is even with the financial institutions, always from the Fed on down, right? Federal Reserve on down. So you have properties right now at the moment, we're seeing properties that people have sent offer price way over the listing price, right? So and then the inventory is not there either, right? So that's further increasing the value of these homes, right? Then COVID have the court system frozen, but the reason that's important because stuff like, and I'm gonna make it this as an example, tax sales, right? Your usual tax sales is getting are frozen at the moment, right? And to some individuals, that's a blessing because some people are actually losing their properties because of the taxes, and they because of COVID, they froze people from buying taxes at the moment. So it gives those people time to
Yeah.
recover,
Hmm.
right? And then on the investment point of view, right, the investors cannot buy those taxes, which further decreasing the inventory that's in the market, right? So if that's happened through the taxes and through the courts, imagine what's happening with the foreclosures. They frozen too,
Hmm.
right? So that's further increasing the value of these properties, right?
Hmm.
So imagine in the future when all of that stuff is let go, right? Hopefully, there is not a lot of damage when it comes to people losing their homes, but realistically, it's a cycle. That's just how it goes, right? So
Hmm.
at the moment, it's one of those for me personally. It's one of those get situated, get your resources, get your financing in order. If you do invest, make sure you have a lot of cushion because you never know what's going to happen. Just think about once COVID hit and they shut everything down. A lot of people using hard money, and hard money froze, and some of those people they froze in the middle of their deal. So now they got these projects that they can't finance, right? So
Wow.
you have to be real careful with what you're doing at the moment. So now the homeowner, at the moment, this is what I will talk. This is what I tell to homeowners. Why are you moving? Why are you looking for somewhere to stay right now at the moment? Do you have a place that you comfortable at the moment? Right? And if they are, great. I'm not gonna say don't move, but you look for what's the motivation, because you will be paying a higher price for that home to use it, right? In the past, and this is naturally how to go, right? You are paying at the top of the market. Is it going to increase even more? Time will tell, right? We'll see what's going on with all the inflation stuff, right? Because that's one of the major parts of it. But right, no one
All
could
the
really
money that
predict.
they pushed into the economy got to be paid for some type of way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's no predicting the future, but you can look at the statistics and try to see where it's going. You can look at the rulings and try to see where it's going, right? Where's inflation going, right? What are they going to do? And I'm from what I'm understanding, they plan on leaving the interest rate lower for the foreseeable future, which make it still easier for homeowners to buy those houses. So if you're a homeowner, and one of my advisors actually told me, Alonzo, if you want to buy a house and it's for you and your family, buy the house, right? But it's not for your investment, and this is how much you're gonna be. Don't worry about it. Buy it, because the interest rate is lower. So your mortgage rate is gonna be locked in a lower mortgage payment. So that's one of the reasons definitely to get involved if you're a homeowner, right? And go back to the investor, you just got to make sure there's enough room for any mistakes, and you're definitely getting top dollar at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like that makes sense because the inventory is less inventory, so supply and demand. So it's always like this. So that's a very fundamental way to look at it. It looks like we have our collaborative partner and our guests showing up that you were speaking so highly of, Miss Whit.
Good stuff.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you guys?
Wonderful, wonderful.
We are doing awesome. So we've just been talking real estate, we've been talking investing, just talking about, the different things that Aprogeny Global does. So Alonzo mentioned you a second ago and just talking about collaborative partners and everything that you do. So he spoke so highly of it, Whitney. You got to share some of your good energy.
Awesome. Well, it's all about collaboration over competition. So it's so important and vital, I think, especially in this world and this time frame, that we recognize we can't do this by ourselves.
Absolutely.
The things that have happened to us as a community, the way that our communities have been pilfered through, it's going to take a long time to fix them if we're not doing them as a team, if we're not doing them as a collective, working together to help rebuild them. So I love even that you're focusing on Black Wall Street, that you're talking about Black Wall Street, because so many didn't even know about our history. A lot of times I think we're always talking about the negative, the slavery, the Jim Crow, but understanding that even though our backs have always been against the wall, we have always managed to overcome. We have always managed to figure out a way to excel and to succeed. And now it's our time. It's our generation's time to put that thing on our back and run with it.
I love it. I mean, we were talking about building systems, collaboration. These are, to me, the fundamental things that you need in any business that you're in. You cannot do it alone. I always brag on my partner, James Wheeler, who was able to really bring the manufacturing side to WBB. So before that, we were outsourcing a lot of things. I wanted to do it, but it takes shared visions and shared effort, because there's only so much that we could do on our own. We were talking about some of these real estate. So Alonzo, I realized I let you talk about the rental model, but I didn't get a chance to let you talk a little bit about the multifamily and the flipping. So if you can just kind of go into that, because we want people to think about, like I said, I'm sure it's going to be a boom coming maybe mid 2021 or definitely 2022 of people who want to invest and pick up some of this inventory that's going to be getting on the market. So we're figuring out which angle they should go with.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about, just like we did about the home ownership, and rentals. You have your residential, your multifamily, right? So you can fix and flip your rentals. Not your rental, I'm sorry, your residential, like we are already doing, right? And please stay tuned to our fix and flip we have coming up. We're gonna start on the December, and we're gonna make sure that we actually use that as an educational piece that people could follow on with. So actually what I'm saying, we're going to show you, right? But so now you could take your residential home, right, and you could fix it up. Now again, we talk about financing. How are you financing that fix and flip, right? Are you using cash, right? Are you collaborating? Like we talk about all the time. When Whitney
Joint
say,
ventures
hey,
or JVs.
right, yeah, when Whitney say, hey, Alonzo, I have 100,000. Say, Whitney, I have 100,000 too. We found the property that's not going to our investors because we have integrity. We have people. We have a line that people when people got the property.
Absolutely.
Right? So when it's our
hard.
turn,
Them good finds.
absolutely, it's definitely hard at the moment. But if we talk about how do you finance, are you collaborating or are you using hard money? So that goes the difference. Just like we were saying with home ownership, if you financing that property, how you finance the property is going to depend on your returns, right?
Yeah.
So we look at it like, okay, you're looking to be an investor to fix and flip a home. How much do you want to see out this property, right? We're going to tell you realistically what's going on. There's no question about that. But we want to see what's your expectation. Then we can tell you what realistically could be done, and you can try to set that target. So, depending on the home, you may say I'll sell 35,000 off the home, right? After all spending 30, depending on you. I know investors who take 25, but they do so many, right? So it all depends on that person and what's going on with them, and we're here to tell them what it realistically is, right? Same with the multifamily. But the thing about the multifamily, we're going to say the multifamily won't afford the moment because I got something special to say about the 5 and over, right? The multifamily piece, the reason that even right now, multifamily is going crazy in the city, right? Right? Because you can have these properties, right? And you could buy these properties. Someone could buy and live in a unit, and they get the cash flow out of the three or one for that matter, right? So now you have the opportunity to buy this property, rent it out, and it's paying your mortgage, right? So now you living rent free, which allow you to get other things situated, especially you talking about getting more property, right? Because the first thing is cash flow, right? And I'm gonna give a shout out to Robert Kiyosaki when it comes to that, and you can actually see my books. That's just crazy, right?
Yeah, we can see you in the background.
The purple, all them purples, that's all Robert Kiyosaki, right? And the reason I bring that up because cash flow is the name of the game, right? How do you become financially free, right?
Yeah.
You're still a financial slave until you're financially free. The way to become financially free, you need money that comes in on a regular basis without you doing anything, right? The more money you have coming in, when you go to work, there's nothing wrong with going to work. That money is earned income, right? You can't go to sleep and earn that money, right? You have to, so you get the properties create that cash flow, and that multifamily piece is one of the quick ways to get to that, right? So, and go ahead.
I was gonna say, and so we call that house hacking, right? And just to give you a tidbit as far as financing, if you purchase a multi-unit as your first property, you're going to qualify for down payment assistance, and you're going to get that down payment at 3.5%, right? You only have to live in the multifamily for 1 year. And then you can purchase either another multifamily building or single family and still get it at a 3.5% down payment. This is with FHA or conventional or VA. With VA, it's 100% financed, but conventional or FHA. If you were to do it the opposite way, let's say you said, I want to get my dream home first and then purchase turnkey multi-units, it's going to be a 20% or 25% down payment. Wow. So again, this is why it's important who you're connecting with as far as your team that's helping you to establish your real estate goals, because there are specific ways that you want to do it so that it benefits you the most.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because now what she just identified is two different classes of investors, right? So say, and I'm gonna use us as examples, right? So I may be the one that actually bought that 3-unit, 4-unit, or 2-unit, right? And use, say, my own money, right? Or partner's money. And we might be the one that fixed it up with no intentions of living in this property. We're going to sell it to Whitney, right? And Kiana's going to be the consultant that tell her how she can get that FHA loan. So there's two different classes of investors when you speak of that, right? So I'm glad you brought it up to show that. So that was good. That was a good point.
That's really good.
Yeah, that was great.
I did it wrong myself. I got my dream home, my first dream home, but I'm back at it. I'm ready to invest.
But I think it's important because sometimes if you're not connected with contractors, it can be a little bit scary, or people can be apprehensive about jumping into a fix and flip. So one of the ways that you ensure that you're still able to get some cash flow, you're still seeing real estate as an investment, is you can do an owner occupied multi-unit building. Once you're seeing that
they call it turnkey, right? Turnkey.
Exactly, turnkey. Meaning that it's moving ready, it's updated, and then you're seeing that cash flow, your mortgage is being paid, and now we can jump into fix and flips, and there's no stress like, okay, my money gonna be tied up for 3 months. What happens now? You've already got income coming in and cash flow being established.
Strategic.
So now it's all about strategic partnerships, and it's all about creating a strategic plan.
It is. That's why people gotta work with Aprogeny Global, right?
That's right.
Them all the final trade secrets. I'm gonna end it on this, Willie. Like, we know the thing is rebuilding Black Wall Street. So we talking about ownership, but what do you all feel? And Whitney, I know you've been doing some amazing work supporting Black entrepreneurs and rebuilding businesses and getting out there when we got vandalized and everything. So what do you all both feel as far as the state of Black entrepreneurs, specifically in Chicago, and of course, what role does real estate play in, in the rebuild?
Okay, so I'm gonna use Dr. Claude Anderson ideology when they talk about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we talk about collaboration, so we mean that in every sense. And then, so now, if you just, and I'm gonna use Harvey, right? Because we spoke about that a couple of times, and I got my first piece of property from there. Whitney's actually from there. My wife's family's from there. Our family still live there, right?
I went to school with Harvey.
Right. So we're gonna speak about this. And they have opportunity. They have definitely opportunity, but it take the leadership, right? And it take the community. So now imagine this, right? Black Wall Street. Imagine this. Imagine from the top down. And when I say that, you talking about the people who actually run it, right? From the mayors to the aldermen to the yada yada, the community leaders, the churches, community activists, and the actual citizens themselves, right? Imagine collectively zoning in on just Harvey, right? So when I say that, okay, we might come and say, okay, we brought an organization who have the funding to bring the homes back together, right? So now, and I'm glad I was educating this a few years ago about when a home when you get a homeowner in a home, not only do that city and the state and the county get those taxes, you get money off the internet, the lights, the yada yada yada. But now what about fixing them properties? You have people in these communities that can fix them themselves also. Spend that money with them. Spend them or have them. Now let's put the money in that pocket, we're going back into their homes. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it's like when there's no one, why would Kiana come work with me if I'm not making it happen? Right. Absolutely. So it needs to be movement within that community that's shown. Right. So now the only way one of the ways I really feel that you bring that Black Wall Street back is joining together and moving as a unit. You have to move as a unit in everything that you do. Right. So if it's say, Kiana, you have a wonderful marketing. Your company is amazing, right? Why would I go anywhere else?
Mm-hmm. Say that again.
Why would I go anywhere else? There we go. But it's the truth though. It's like, okay, she's great at what she does, right? Mm-hmm. And then say, Aprogeny Global, we're great at what we do. Of course, we are moving forward, and it might be a hole over there at Aprogeny Global. Mm-hmm. If you see that hole, fill it. How about that? Do you know somebody who can fill that hole to make Aprogeny Global better? Mm-hmm. And it's vice versa, So it's like one of those. That's why we love that we in our cultures we don't compete. Why would I compete with Kiana? Mm-hmm. If Whitney decided to say, Lonzo, I want to talk to you because I want to leave and do Whitney's Global, right? Wonderful, Whitney. Now let's talk about how we're going to set up the strategic relationship outside of it. What there's no, that attitude have to go. That's first point. It's the thinking. I'm saying the frame, the mindset have to change from that competitiveness, right? Mm-hmm. To I'm not counting Kiana's pocket. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not saying that she's better than me or I'm better than her. That's not what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Is that how can we go from the bottom? And then with the kids, the main thing because I want Winnie to say something because she be having some amazing words, right? And so, but the financial literacy, and this one Aprogeny Global, this is the mainstay for APG, right? Once we get to a certain point, right? We're already doing that at the moment, but the way we want to do it on a global scale, right? Mm-hmm. The financial literacy is the key piece. One of the key pieces to Wall Street, the mindset of working together, and a financial literacy. And I'm not talking about your typical save your money, put in the bank, right? Get a credit card. Is what I'm not talking about all that stuff that they teach you in that one class that's in high school, and that's it. Financial literacy they don't teach in school.
No,
That's
they
the
don't.
thing that they don't. Since we know they don't teach real financial literacy in school, that's our responsibility to teach real financial literacy, right, to our youth and to our kids, right? Because if you get them when they're young, right, you have some sharp children in these schools, and I'm talking about elementary. I ain't talking about the high school, junior high. I'm talking about elementary. You start teaching them then, they won't even know what they learned, but they're gonna grow up and understand. Okay, why am I gonna buy this $20,000 chain? Because we see it on a regular basis. Why am I gonna go buy this $100,000 Range Rover, right, and put $20,000 down? But that same 20,000 you could have bought that house in Harvey.
Absolutely.
So it's
and make you money to buy more stuff when you're ready for it.
and that way, so like when I go get my Range Rover, because I'm still driving a Ford Fusion, right? Not because I can't go get a Range Rover, and all that good stuff, but it's because of my property's gonna pay for that. I'm gonna wake up and not even be paying for it, so it doesn't even make a difference. It will make a difference 2021, because I hate buying cars that depreciate, but it's gonna make a difference because of someone else is gonna be paying for that.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna let Whitney. What do you think? Can you hear you?
Whitney, you on mute.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? I think ownership is the name of the game, right? We have to own where we live, where we work. We have to own the residential pieces in our community, and we have to own the commercial spaces. And to just piggyback on what Alonzo said, it's that financial literacy piece. Recognizing that, when you turn 18, instead of running out and getting a car, let's buy a building first. Those things matter. Having a strategic plan. It's always about collaboration and partnership. We cannot be silent. It's okay if 10 of us do real estate. We can do it together. There's enough money out here to be made. And other communities, that's what they do. They pool their resources together. So we have to be committed to pooling our resources and not being greedy. It's enough out here. I don't want to be at the very top and everybody else is just barely making it. Why don't we all get to the top together? So it's definitely about owning. It's definitely about collaboration. And it's just important that we step out and we're not afraid, right? Absolutely. I think people are sitting on wonderful ideas, but not putting them out there because they're worried about it being perfect. They're worrying about how it's going to be received. If it was placed inside you, put it out there in the world. If 2020 hasn't taught us anything else, we have to bet on ourselves. Nobody's coming to save us. So it's important that we decide, listen, I was created with purpose. You were created with purpose. Let's walk in that. And if we're committed, everybody doing what they excel at, I'm not marketing. On my best day, I can't do it well. So there's no need for me to even try to do that when I could just call Kiana.
Absolutely.
Everyone plays their part. Everyone play their position. And what can we do but win a championship?
And create that spirit vision.
We build Black Wall Street if everybody they role and playing their part.
Right. I love that community vision. That community vision. Because that's the main. Like if we don't have no vision, we don't know where we're going. How do you get anybody with that for? You got to get everybody to that shared vision. What's the shared vision? Right. So it's a global shared vision, and you can make it happen.
It's the shared vision. I love that. I was just going to, just shout out. It's going into the 100-year of Black Wall Street, also Oklahoma. Got that shared vision. They had restaurants, they had hospitals, they had banks. And
they supported each other. They didn't go outside of the community. They didn't down when somebody did something wrong. They didn't berate that business. Listen, everything's not going to be excellent, and that's in any community. But what we do is we build together and we say, listen, I noticed that this was off. Maybe if I introduce you to such, they can help you with that.
Exactly. We got to do it. We got to, it's no reason we had this in 1921. but we don't have that now, that collective effort. And like you said, I think it just comes from like you said, we can't think from a mind of scarcity.
That's right.
And it's more than enough. And the thing that I love, and I ended on this note, is I love the consciousness and the rise in consumers right now. That
yes.
my nails done, I'm getting it at a black nail salon. If I'm I'm thinking Whitney posts all the time. You know, if I'm selling my home, I'm going with a black realtor. If I'm insuring my home, I'm going with a black insurance company. So the shift to that mindset is really all we need, and it's more than enough for us all to be successful. And as you said, Whitney, you know, if you at the top, everybody else at the bottom, then you don't have any support. Like, they're going to need you, so you're going to fall at some point anyway. So if you build it where that balance and we have a solid foundation, because we're all successful and we all doing it, then if at any point I falter, I got somebody that I can lean on a lot, or I can lean on Whitney, because we've all built each other up to be this solid foundation. So I think that's just the mentality. But you know, I'm an optimist. I'm very hopeful when I think like Wall Street is on the rise and it's coming back. You know, so
I agree. And they say leaders build other leaders, not other followers. So if you truly a leader, you truly on the top of your game, then you're building other people that can be at the top of their game.
Absolutely. That's what we need. So.
That's what it's about.
Okay. I thank you guys for all of that. I include the link because you all are extremely powerful. So anybody that's in real estate, you can get down with you all and figuring out how they can get things, you know, like you said, how they can get everything that they want to be paid for by somebody else. That's the name of the game.
Right. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Always.